Hello everyone, my name is Paul and welcome to my Python tutorial. So this tutorial of course will be going over Python and we will be using Visual Studio 2017. If you have yet to get the Visual Studio, I will have the link in the description below and how to download it. So if you've seen my C++ tutorials, then you probably already have Visual Studio downloaded. If you haven't, check that out. And maybe you can even learn some C++ while you're at it. So if you have Visual Studio and you don't have Python downloaded, it's very simple. All you're going to do is just go on your search and you're going to type in Visual Studio and you're going to go to the installer. And you're going to go ahead and hit yes. And this is actually anytime you want to add any more plugins into Visual Studio. You can always just come back to this. So what it's going to do is it's going to actually bring up a screen. Alright, so it's going to bring something like this. You're going to want to, you see Visual Studio Communities 2017 right here. You're going to go ahead and click Modify. Now, in here is all your workloads. So basically, you're just going to make sure you have Python development clicked on, and then you're going to hit Modify. When it's done modifying, you can go ahead and if it asks to update, it'll update it, and then if not, then go ahead and launch it. We can go ahead and exit out of that. So now before we get started into Python, let me just go ahead and actually explain what Python is real quick. So what is Python? Python is just an interpretive high-level programming language for general purpose programming, which basically means you can do tons of stuff with Python. I mean, you can test microchips, and even Instagram is built off of Python. You can even build video games with Pygame. You can do data science. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff with Python. And the reason why people are starting to use Python more often now is because it's much easier to read. It's easier to understand. It's easier to program. So yeah, that's just a lot of companies are using it now because you can use it for multi-purposes. Alright, so now that we're at this main screen and you kind of know a little sense of what Python is, we can go ahead and get started on our first program. So you can go ahead and file new project. And then basically we're just going to go down to the Python programming language. And then when we click on Python, you're just going to do a Python application. That is all you're going to want to do. And then we can go ahead and name it. Let's go ahead and name this Hello World. Well, I already have something like that. Okay. So we'll just do. Okay, I guess I have so many things. We'll just say hello. There we go. Perfect. So now it's going to go ahead and create the project for you. Now there are a couple of different IDEs that you can use for Python. For instance, there is the actual Python IDE that you can get from downloading from their website. I just think Visual Studio is just much easier to use in a sense that also you can have multiple programming languages on it, and you can do a lot with it. So we are at where we write our source code. As you can see down here, that's our file for the source code. So we can go ahead and start writing. So we're going to print out our first line to the user. So all we're going to do is type in print. Like we're going to print something, and then we're going to do quotations. So we're going to do parentheses, quotations, and we're going to do hello world. That is all you're actually going to do. And what we can do is we can go ahead and start without debugging, and boom, hello world. It already prints out. So that is pretty much it right there. That's your first application building with Python. So we're actually gonna go in this video. We're actually gonna go a little more into depth, writing more programs. So now what we can do is we can learn some operators. And let me go ahead and get into a brief discussion on and basically explain what the different types of operators there are and what operators actually are. So what are some operators in Python? So some of the operators, as you can see right here, there's the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, and exponent. So yeah, these are pretty much, you know, the basic operators that you even use in math that are going to be interpreted in Python. Here are just some more operators that we'll be using. So on the right hand side, you can see the examples that we probably will be using when programming with these operators. So the double equals, you know, if A is equal to B, then it's not true. You know, if A is not equal to B, then it is true. So that's what these are. So basically, if A is greater than B, it's not true because B is greater than A. And then if A is greater than or equal to B, that's not true as well. Or if A is less than or equal to B, it's true. So these are going to be some of the operators that we'll be using, and they mean exactly what they mean in like math and whatnot, except for these up here with the exclamation point equal sign that just says not equals, and this means equals. So we will be using these. So yeah. All right, so now that we're back, and I kind of went over a brief little thing about operators, we can go ahead and get into them. So we all know, so we can just kind of, let's start off with something easy. So we'll go ahead and say print 1 equals 1. So what this is gonna do, since we don't have quotation marks surrounding the 1 equals 1, basically it's just gonna print out the outcome of this right here, which when we start without debugging, it's true. 1 does equal 1. So now if we do 1 does not equal 1, and we start without debugging, it's going to go ahead and say false, because 1 does equal 1. Now if we wanted to do 1 plus 1, alright, so we can go ahead and start without debugging, and boom, it gives you 2. So we can go ahead and let's say we have, 10 divided by 1, right? Boom, 10. So, and then we can do multiplication. So we'll do 10 times 10. That will give you, of course, 100. And then now let's do an exponent. And there you go. So basically, we covered addition, we did basically all the basic operators with numbers. Now, we can do these with strings. So let me go ahead and show you an image of what a string is, what a float is, and what a integer is real quick. Alright, so now that I briefly went over just some of the, what like a string is and a float and whatnot, let's go ahead and start with the string. So what we need to do is we need to give, let's just go ahead and get a variable. We'll do A. So A is going to equal, hello. And B is going to equal world. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and print A plus B. And if we went and started without debugging, we would get hello world. So we can put some spaces in there, sure, why not? And boom. And you still get hello world. So what we're doing here is we're assigning A, which is a variable, a value, which is a string. We can do the same thing with a integer. So we can get rid of that, and we can do 1, and we can do this 100. So when we start without debugging, you get 101. So we can actually even do this with decimals. So we can do that, and then maybe we'll make this one a little more complicated, like that. So when we add these up, boom, you can still get it, and there is your float. So now we have covered some basic on outputs of strings, some basic operators, and stuff like that. Alright, so now we covered some basics. So let's get into statements. Now a statement, there are if statements, else statements, and elif statements. So what we can do is we're going to go ahead and assign a equals, I don't know, we'll just do 100. Okay? So we're assigning 100 to a. Now what we're going to do is if a equals 100, then print, I don't know, we'll just say awesome. So what we can do is start without debugging, and it will automatically say awesome. So what I'm doing here is I am saying that if a is equal to 100, then print that. Or else, and then you can go ahead and, I'm sorry, we have to do the little, not semicolon, but you know that, and we can print not cool. So let's change it then. So let's change it to 9, okay? So what we're gonna do is start without debugging, and then now it's gonna say not cool. So this is a basic if and else statement right here. Pretty simple. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. And we can kind of go more into depth about it. So we can say, so let's do, now that we've done some statements and everything, I would love to talk about loops. And we're actually about to get into some loops. So right after loops, so when I explain and show you some examples of loops, we can start getting into writing our very first program where we're going to have to print out something to the user, and the user is going to enter in a value or just something into the computer or the program, and then we're going to push something out back to the user from that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started on some loops. So what are loops? Basically, there are 3 different kinds of loops. 2 are just the main ones, which is the while and for loop. A nested loop is just basically a loop inside of another loop. So we can go a little rundown of them. So on the first one, a while loop just repeats a statement until, like, while the given condition is true, it'll keep repeating the statement. It tests the conditions before executing the loop body. And then a for loop just executes a sequence of statements multiple times and abbreviates the code that manages the loop variable. So we can definitely get into depth on those, and I'll be showing you some more examples coming right up. Alright, so now we've done, I've shown you a little bit of like what loops are. Let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and assign, we're going to keep the a equals 100, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to say while a equals 100, we're going to print we'll print 100. Okay. Now, we can go ahead and if we ran this, it's going to print 100 continuously. Because, now let me go into depth of why. So while a is equal to 100, which it is, it'll print 100. And it'll continue to print unless we put a break or something in it, which is going to be in later videos. So what we can do, though, is now let's give it 9. So while a equals 100, print that. Now we can say if a does not equal 100, we can go ahead and print not 100. So if we went ahead and did this, no, sorry. All right. We'll go ahead and change that to a while. So now it's going to do not 100. So what we need to do, though, is we need to put this if statement inside there. So now it says not 100 once. So what we're doing is now we're saying while a is equal to 100, print 100. If a is not equal to 100, then just print not 100. And so if is not a loop. So if it's just a statement. So that's why it only prints it out once. And while is a loop. So now we can go ahead and get into a for loop. All right, so let's go ahead and get into a for loop. So I went ahead and just cleared up my screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to do some fruits. All right. So we're going to make a list. Now, a list is pretty much just like a set of integers, numbers, floats, anything that's basically, it's just you're making a list of things, right? So yeah, we can go ahead and do, let's name some fruit. So we'll do, you know what? Let's do a apple. All right. So then we need to do a comma, and let's do a cherry. All right. So what we did is and you know what? Let's do one more. Let's go ahead and do a banana. So now what we've done is we've created a list. Fruits is our list, and apple, cherry, and banana are our values in the list. So what we can do is let's do so for x in fruits. Oh, sorry, forgot the. There we go. Print x. So now what this is going to do is it's going to print out apple, cherry, and banana. Boom. Apple, cherry, and banana. So for x in fruits, print x. So x is basically our values in here. And now, as you can tell, the for loop does not print everything constantly. So if we did while, while fruits, let's see, while fruits equal apple, cherry, and banana, we can go ahead and print. We'll go ahead and just print fruits. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So now it's printing fruits continuously. So what we did is we've created a list with apple, cherry, and banana, and now we've created a while loop which says while fruits equal apple, cherry, banana, print out fruits continuously. Alright guys, so we've covered pretty much all of the basics that we need to start building fully functioning applications. So we've basically covered some operators, we've covered statements, and we've also covered loops. And we briefly went over a list, but I'm going to go into more depth on what a list is in a later video, which will also include what an array is and a vector and stuff like that. So we're going to end the video today by creating a simple application where the application is going to print out asking the user to like what is their name, and then the user is going to enter in their name, and then the application is going to print out saying hello and then their name. So it's actually really simple, and we can go ahead and get started. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to create a variable. We're going to name it name, and we're going to go ahead and equal that to a input. So what an input is it allows the user to input anything past the statement, which we're going to call, which is just hello, what is your name? Space, and let's end it. Awesome. So now what it's going to do is just going to print out saying hello, what is your name? And then what we're going to do is we're going to print hello. And then now that we've ended that little string, we're going to also now we have to add it. Add name. And then end it perfectly. So we can go ahead and start without debugging. Now it's going to ask, hello, what is your name? And I'm going to say Paul. It's going to say, hello, Paul. And boom. So you can even do your full name. You can do Paul Thomas. And it's going to say, hello, Paul Thomas. So it pretty much captures anything that you type in here, which is actually really nice. So basically all we're doing is creating a variable named named. We're going to equal that to an input of hello, what is your name? And then they're going to input something. Next line, print hello, and then plus whatever the user put in for that value. It's just going to call that variable. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. On our next video, we'll go ahead and start building more complex applications using pretty much what all we've learned today in our video. We'll be using statements, we'll be using some really cool operators, and we'll also be trying to use some loops. Alright guys, well I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions, just comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much, and y'all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you on the next video.